everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. It is an early June morning here in my mid-Missouri Zone 6 garden. It's early because it's going to be hot today. Like a lot of you, we've been stuck in this massive heat wave. It has been in the mid to upper 90s for days now. Today it's going to be, I believe, about 95 for the high. And like lots of you in the Midwest and the South, you know what humidity feels like, and I live in a place that has high humidity. In fact, I think the humidity last night was like nearly 80%, and it was like 82 degrees at 10 o'clock. So it's sticky. So I thought, you know what? Today is our garden tour day. It's nearing the end of June, and I wanted to get out uh, after sunrise, but get out really early so that I don't pass out in the heat. And I think, like lots of you, I do the majority of my gardening where I live early in the morning. I think yesterday I spent 2 hours in the garden from about 7:30 to 9:30, and I came in and I was done. It was shower time, and whew, I just, got to get out there early like a lot of you. So anyhow, but I am so excited about today's walkabout for June. A lot of things have changed in the garden. I would say most of the things that you're going to see today are things in terms of annuals and actually a lot of new perennials in the garden and some new roses. Most of these things have been in the ground or in containers for only a little over a month now. And I have no doubt that today's walkabout is going to create a giant to-do list for me. One of the things I like about doing walkabouts with my camera, with my phone, is that I can dictate, I can videotape what I'm seeing, and for myself, I will say, oh, this needs to be done. Oh, that plant's looking bad. Oh, this might need some trimming, pruning, etc. And so I'm going to encourage you all too, you don't have to have a YouTube channel to get your phone out and walk around your property and take videos every once in a while. And as you're doing that, talk to yourself about, oh, okay, this might need to be done, or, ooh, I didn't notice this earlier. So when you pause, slow down, and take a little bit of time to do your own walkabout, you can learn a lot about the health of your plants in your garden. Before I grab the camera to start the walkabout, I'm going to invite everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate your support. It helps me grow my channel. And those of you that have been watching my channel, you know that I'm just an average gardener. I love learning. I have certification as a master gardener, but that doesn't really make me an expert on anything. It just makes me somebody that's very interested in plants, very interested in encouraging other people to get the gardening bug. I'm not here to sell you a lot of stuff. My channel is not about production, and you're not going to see me putting in 50 annuals in a giant bed. That's not what this is about. This is really about just those of us out there that love to create beauty in our yards. I don't know if you're like me, but I love a great before and after. I'm really addicted to, home renovation shows where you can see that total transformation, gardening shows where you can see a big transformation. So I'm going to try, if I can, I don't know how successful I'll be, but I'm really going to try in my editing of today's video to pull in maybe some photos or snippets of what my garden looked like last month. I do monthly walkabouts, so if you haven't seen those, I have a whole playlist about my walkabout, so I would encourage you to do that. But I'll try when I can, maybe as we're talking today, to pull in some video and stuff so that you can see what this garden looked like just a month ago. Wanted to start here, of course, in front of my greenhouse, which if you followed my channel, you know the greenhouse that we got, it'll be 2 years ago this coming August, has been a game changer for my gardening. It has just allowed me to start hundreds of seeds for flowers and vegetables and herbs and perennials. It has just been so wonderful. It's been great to escape here in the middle of winter because I happen to heat my greenhouse, and so I grow things all winter long. I take a lot of things out of my garden at the end of the season and put them in the greenhouse and carry them through until the next season. So it's been wonderful. But really what today is all about here in front of the greenhouse is to show you my big, beautiful aqua pots. And I showed in a video how much. I love these self-watering containers. So if you haven't seen that video, check it out. I showed you how to assemble aqua pots, but I also potted them up. And what you're going to see here in this aqua pot is you're going to see my Maverick Bullseye geranium in the color salmon that I grew from seed. I started seed in the greenhouse this year. And then in the center here, I've got the oh so unplugged blue salvia from Proven Winners. So I just think that beautiful pinky salmon against the blue is lovely. I was thinking that this salvia was going to get taller, and it hasn't yet. But again, remember, a lot of the things I'm showing you today, especially my annuals, have only been in pots or in the ground for about a month. So, you know, we've got a lot of summer left. While it might be early morning where I live, the sun is high in the sky and it's already heating up, and it's only around 7:30. So it's time for some sunglasses for this tour so that I can see all the things that I want to share with you. We're going to start here going around the house where, you know, I've got lots of different borders that have trees and perennials and roses and shrubs and some new annuals for the year. And then I'm going to take you all to a place in my garden that I don't know that I've shown you before. I don't know about you, but do you guys have some spots in your property where you kind of just chuck stuff and sort of experimental gardening? So I've got a place that I've got a few things that I'm trying to grow. And so I want to show you what that's looking like. And then I've got a really special thing to show you that I don't think I've ever shown you, but I am out there every day. There's a spot in our property by our pond where we are always excited and hopeful that we're going to see some migratory critters come through, and maybe today we'll spot some. So let's get the walkabout started. So let's start this walkabout in the front part of the house, and this faces west, and you can see the shadow line because the sun has risen. The sun rises over there and sets in the west, so we've got some nice shade. Just to take a look real quick at how this is laid out, it is one of those problem areas for gardeners like me who really love to pack in things. Well, when they built this house, I don't know what they were thinking. They obviously weren't gardeners because they only provided us, that's maybe 3 foot wide. It next down to 2 foot wide. You can't grow anything in such a narrow little space. So I have a dream that we will rip out this concrete. We will actually pull the beds out till about where the concrete ends and create a nice winding concrete path into the front of the house so that I can have some depth here, so that I can really fill this out with shrubs and perennials and some annuals. I just am so limited here by what I can grow because of these darn narrow beds. So word to the wise, any of you that might be designing your home or designing your landscape, yeah, you want beds at least 4 foot wide, if not 5 foot minimum, if you plan on growing much at all. And so, you know, it's a matter of money and time. It's on the list to do, but it's going to have to wait because, you know, we all have other priorities that take precedence, don't we? All right, so here's Miss Gertrude Jekyll. She looks a lot different than she did in the May walkabout. I'll put a picture up of what she looks like in May. She worked really hard in May, so she needs to take a break. She is taking a little rest, a little siesta, but I have pruned her and deadheaded all the old blooms. And what that will do for her is allow her to put her energy into creating more buds and blooms. And she will be flushing out, no doubt, with new flowers in the next, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks. Kind of the same story with my Jack Manny or Jack Manai clematis that was loving its life. It had a big flush of blooms and now it's taken a little break. And let me show you, they have the most interesting seed heads. This is a spent bloom. Isn't that interesting? But what I did come in here on my Tuesday trimming chores, and I did deadhead off a bunch of those. I still have a few on there, but this will flush out. This is a repeat bloomer, so it'll flush out as well. All right, this is a trouble spot. We all have them. I don't know what's happened to my spirea. Look at that, you guys. I mean, it is starting to bite the dust. And I would say that these shrubs are about, I'd say they're about 5, 6 years old. Yeah. So I need your suggestions. Please, in the comments below, give me some suggestions for what you think I should plant in this space, because I'm going to probably pull these out next spring and put in some new shrubs or perennials. You know I love hydrangeas, so I am thinking they've got some dwarf hydrangeas. Remember, this is only a little over 2 feet deep. So I can't put things in there that are going to get very wide. That's a real problem. So help me out, everybody. All right, let's just come over here. Here's our front porch, a wonderful place to sip coffee in the morning in the shade. In the afternoon, it stays shaded because we've got this big overhang. But what I want to show you are my containers. And you came along with me when I planted up my concrete urns, and isn't that a stunner? You all know I'm in love with coleus. This is one little tiny plant. It is starting to come up and over, which is exactly what I was hoping for. What is disappointing to me is my surefire rose begonia. Now that is beautiful, isn't it? But everybody that I've seen that's growing these, the other YouTubers I follow, they rave and rave about them. They say, oh, they get enormous. They can handle sun or shade. These have grown so slowly. I mean, they've been in this pot a month and they have put on a little growth, but they're supposed to get like almost 2 feet tall and have a good 1 foot spread. So I only planted one because I was anticipating a much bigger plant. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe it is because this gets tons of shade, but that's what Proven Winners raves about. They say, oh, sun or shade, it doesn't matter, but I don't know. This may not get enough sun to really get them going. So fingers crossed. All right, let's come around here. My oh so easy Italian ice, little siesta. It was magnificent about a month ago, but it will be putting on lots more blooms. It'll bloom all season long. All right, here's my little sea of Supertunia Vista petunias from Proven Winners. You all know I talk about them. They are magnificent. I've got bubblegum, which is this one, and silverberry dotted along here. Again, they will get, the Vista series of petunias will get about 3 feet wide, especially in the landscape where their roots can grow deep. And so my idea in my spacing was hoping, let me back up here, that I could get them to eventually touch. And I would say, come back in July when I bring you back and do another walkabout. And we'll see if they end up reaching each other. I've got my, of course, arborvitaes, which are beautiful and super healthy, and a brand new rose, a David Austin rose, sceptered isle. And this is, I've only had it in the ground about a month, so it's a baby right now, but isn't that beautiful? Oh, 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 lovely. So sceptered isle will get 4 to 5 feet tall and 4 feet wide. So it's a baby right now, but it'll fill that in eventually. Here's another new rose in the garden. This is Julia Child, a lovely, lovely yellow rose. Just stellar performer. You can see the spent blooms. Need to get in here and do some deadheading, but this will grow about 3 to 4 foot tall and wide. And again, it's brand new, so it's a little one still. And I don't know if anybody's seen the sweet little fairy garden, but my sweet, sweet, sweet Tegan was over a few weeks ago, and she created this little fairy garden. And every time she comes for a visit, she gets to check on her fairy garden and do a little redecorating. Okay, so let's move around to the south side of the house. Ooh-wee, there's the sun. All right, so prepare for some heat. Here's another oh so easy Italian ice that wasn't doing well in another spot, and I just chucked it in this little raised bed. My husband put this in for me. It's not very fancy. It's not supposed to be. This is actually for more cut flowers because I love to have flowers growing in my garden from April through October, and this allows me to just chuck more in. Right now, you're going to see here, I'll come in. I sowed some seed and only about 3 weeks ago, so they're really taking off. And these are my zinnias, and this is the Alpenglow variety from Floret Seeds. So yeah, they're going to be fine. Here's an ageratum I just popped in. I've got ageratum in my raised bed garden as well. But again, this box just lets me, you know, grow lots of zinnias and things, and I cut flowers all season long, and my zinnias go well above these 4-foot posts. They get enormous. So we'll see how they do this year. So this border here are Baptisia. They're done. They're a spring bloomer, but I showed you all how wonderful they are as shrubs. I mean, just look at that gorgeous foliage. So I come in here when I do floral arrangements, and I pick those for greenery, and they look great in flower arrangements. I've got some Russian sage. I've got peonies. Here's my Miss Molly Buddleia. I've got 2 of those on the property. Let's come in and just look at her. Stunning. A beautiful hot pink. She's only in her 2nd year, and it's amazing compared to the 1st year. Not only how much bigger she is, and that's how perennials work, they get bigger and bigger until they max out, but her blooms, this is of course spent down to here, but look at my hand. Look at how huge that flower is. Again, you don't have to deadhead Miss Molly Buddleia, but I do. And so let me put that on my to-do list on my trimming Tuesday. So next Tuesday, I need to get out here with my pruners and all of the spent blooms. I will just come in here and make a cut, and that allows this salvia, or excuse me, this buddleia to put in lots more energy into making more flowers. Here's another Perovskio or Russian sage. Here's a random coneflower. I don't even know the variety. Let me get my shadow out of the way here. Do you see this? It is gorgeous, isn't it? So pretty. If you all know what variety this is, it is a kind of a pinky salmon, and I just love it. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure where it came from. I know it's not a volunteer, but anyhow, it's there. All right, let me swing around here. So this is a little baby plant. This is a hardy hibiscus summerific series, and this is Cookies and Cream, I believe. It's got beautiful dark foliage, and you can see here, right here, this bloom is a beautiful white bloom. Summerific hardy hibiscus get huge. They will get 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. And so the idea here, we have to be patient when we're talking about perennials and shrubs, because it takes them, 2-3 years to really get going, but eventually it'll fill in this point of the retaining wall. Well, I said I was going to take you to a spot on the property that I haven't shown you all yet, and that's exactly where we're going. So we're going to walk a little bit further away from the house. And when we moved in here, gosh, we've been here about 8 years now, we inherited this grapevine, and it does produce grapes. We don't harvest those grapes. We give them to the birds and the wildlife to eat. But I did put a couple of plants around this grapevine arbor, trying to grow some things. So let me turn the camera around and show you what it's looking like today. So you can get a sense of where the grapevine arbor is in relationship to the house. You can see we were just up there at the house. So I'll try not to spin too fast around. And then I'll show you here we are. So let's take a look at what I've got here. So I have a clematis. Don't ask me the variety. I have no clue. I honestly do not know, but it's super pretty. So the idea was to grow the clematis up the grapevine and into the plants. Down here, you can see that I cut out a spot, added a bunch of compost last year to try to grow something here. And I actually had a brand new buddleia that was called, I think, Great Cascade or something like that. And it did horrible. So I just pulled it out of here not long ago, and it's dead. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. But anyways, there's the clematis. But look at this. This is trumpet flower. Now, this is non-invasive trumpet flower. And again, you really want to check when you're getting things like trumpet flower, trumpet vine, honeysuckle. You really want to do your research to make sure that it's non-invasive and isn't going to take over your property. So, you know, the idea was I planted this, gosh, this has been in here about 4 years, and I'm trying to train it to make its way into the grapevines, but you know, quite honestly, it's not really. It just wants to make a crown at the very top. But anyhow, let me come in here and show you the grapes. So you can see the grapes in there? Yeah. So anyways, the grapes are for the birds, and I'm sure the deer that love to come visit our garden. And then on the other end, again, I attempted to dig out a space. This is about a 4-foot diameter circle. I did this last year. I dug some out. I put a whole bunch of compost, and I'm going to try to grow some things in here. And what's in here right now is spiderwort. And this is actually something I took from another part of the property, and I just chucked it in here, and I said, you know what? This is a survival of the fittest experiment, because I don't water this. It's up to Mother Nature, and if it lives, it lives, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, it's far enough away from the house that who cares? But what is so fun is if we come in here close, do you see these? Those are zinnia starts. I saved some Senorita zinnia seed from my zinnias last year, and I thought, you know what? Let's just broadcast those into there, water them in a couple times, and see if they'll do anything. So, I don't know. Come back for the July walkabout, and we'll see if I've got some beautiful, bright pink zinnias coming up. Okay, we're off to another spot that I've never shown you before, and it's really nothing that I've cultivated. It's something that I do love, though, and so I'm under the shade of a cedar tree for a momentary reprieve from the heat, but we're going to walk down this way. I'm on the bank of our pond. Let me see if I can show you it behind me. You see that? Our pond is not quite 2 acres, but we absolutely love it. We love having friends over, little kayak paddles for people that want to get in there. We have a little paddle boat, and of course it's stocked with lots of fish because my husband is a big outdoorsman, and we couldn't have a pond that we couldn't fish in and have our friends over to enjoy. So anyhow, that's what's over here. So what you are seeing here, lining this side of our pond, is what is called common milkweed. This was here. It popped up, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago. And so we make sure that we don't mow it. We want it to be here. We're delighted that we have common milkweed, because some of you may know that the endangered monarch butterflies, this is the only food that they have. It's the only thing they eat. And so you want to maintain, if you've got volunteer milkweed on your property, it might not be the most beautiful plant, but it's beautiful to monarch butterflies. And So it's quite early this morning for pollinators to be out, but I am seeing plenty of bumblebees, which is usually what I see out here. Loads of bumblebees. Sometimes we see dragonflies. See if I can come in here so you can get a better picture at this bumble enjoying his breakfast. What I don't see this morning are any of the monarchs, and quite frankly, the last couple of years, we've had fewer and fewer monarchs visiting our pollinator habitat, which is also up there. You see beyond the pond, that's a 2-acre pollinator habitat my husband and I created, and I'll take you up there probably in the June Walkabout Part 2 and show you what's happening up there. But I was out here yesterday, as I'm always checking on things and hoping I'm going to spy some caterpillars, and I did spy a monarch and got that on video, so I'll make sure I show you that it does occasionally have monarchs. It does often have fritillaries, a different type of butterfly, but right now it's a bit early for the butterflies and moths to be out and about. This retaining wall, so ugly, isn't it? Golly, don't we all have those? Or many of us that have basements have them, I guess. Anyhow, but it is a good place for hostas because although they're getting morning sun, later in the day, you know, they're shaded from the wall, and then of course the sun is that direction and it gets nice shade. So they get morning sun and do pretty well. Caryopteris, this is a new one. I just planted this. It's supposed to be a mid to late summer bloomer. It'll fill in nicely. It's supposed to get, about 3 or 4 feet tall. What I really want to show you guys is a new plant right here. Another summerific hardy hibiscus. And I just planted this and it is already about 3 foot tall. It's supposed to get 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. And my idea was for it to fill in this section right here. I cannot wait to see the blooms. They're supposed to be spectacular. And I think this one blooms in some shades of pink. So that'll be a really nice addition to the summer garden. Well, I had to include a look at our screened-in covered porch in the garden walkabout today because I brought you along as I was planting up my coleus, and here's some more of my beautiful geraniums that I grew from seed, the Maverick Salmon. Got a couple of ferns, and I don't know if you remember, but those ferns were one fern inside the greenhouse all winter. And I thought, you know what? I want ferns on either side of my couch. So I pulled that one fern out, sliced it in half, and now I've got 2 ferns. So pretty simple there, but let's take a look and give you an update on my new planter box here on the porch. My coleus. Oh my goodness, isn't that spectacular? Again, I only planted these about a month ago, and they are just showing off and loving life here on the porch. What isn't loving life so much? And I think it's because it's not getting enough sun, quite honestly, is my mandevilla. So my idea was to get a climbing, flowering vine that would climb up, up, up. And quite honestly, I think this box is only probably getting about 3, maybe 4 hours of sun a day. And I think mandevilla being a tropical, it would like much more sun. So if you guys have an idea for me for a climbing flowering vine that can take semi-shade, that doesn't need a lot of sun, I'd love for you to make a suggestion in the comments below. All right, we have to show you the hanging baskets because I included in the hanging baskets my favorite petunias, and those would be, of course, the supertunias from Proven Winners. You've got the pink tiara, the yellow, which is saffron finch, and if it would oh, come on, wind, spin that around for me. I want to show you the tiara blue. Let's go over here and see if, here we go. Can you see the tiara blue? I'm having a hard time seeing because the sun is so daggone bright. So we've got tiara blue, you can see them here side by side, and tiara pink. Well, the tiara pink is doing what Lots of people said it would do. And what they're saying about Tiara Pink is it is as vigorous as bubblegum pink. And so sometimes when you plant it in a mixed planter, it wants to take over. So all I'll do, because I like things to look a certain way, is if it starts to bully out the saffron finch and the tiara blue, I'm just going to trim it. I'm not going to be afraid. But look at the growth that this has put on in just a month. I mean, it's almost already covering the basket. And I brought you along and showed you on a video how I planted up this basket. And I'm one of those people that studies the growth habits of plants. And I know the growth habit of these gorgeous annuals, and I am not going to overstuff my pots because then they end up competing for soil and nutrients. I'm going to just be patient, wait a month, and voila, you've got something gorgeous. And they're just going to continue to get bigger. They're nowhere near their max size. So I found some shade under this maple tree before I show you this garden bed, and this should look very different. I basically completely redone this particular garden bed. This is the bed I've been talking to you about and complaining about because it is my one garden bed that holds so much water, so much moisture. We cannot figure out why. We have amended the soil like crazy with great compost because it's sticky, yucky, backfill clay. And that has helped some, but it just wants to stay wet. So instead of fighting against that and trying to put plants in here that don't thrive in damp or wet conditions, this year I said, okay, enough's enough. Do your research and find some perennials and shrubs that can handle more moist conditions. And let me show you how it's looking today. Before I pan over here and show you what's growing, just here's another one of my aqua pots that I potted up with my Maverick geraniums. And in the center there are the oh so unplugged blue salvia that are sort of getting gobbled up by those gorgeous geraniums that I grew from seed. And of course, I have to show you my coleus. This is one plant, everybody. And this one plant was about half that size in my greenhouse all winter long. And so I pulled it out of the greenhouse. It was in one of my little raised beds in the greenhouse, and I popped it in this pretty green big ceramic pot, and look at it. It is loving life on the east side of the house. Okay, so here is my trouble spot. Let me show you as a reminder of what I planted this year. And again, remember, these are baby plants. All of these are brand new this year. So in the back, we have some Siberian iris. It is not in bloom, but it's called Caesar's, Caesar something, I can't remember. Gorgeous purple, deep, deep purple flowers, and iris spreads. So the idea here is it will fill in the back. It'll get about 4 feet tall, and it will be a sea of purple across the back row. Then I have my 3 big Limelight Prime hydrangeas. Again, Limelight Prime hydrangeas get about 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. So again, they're going to fill in, but they are only in their second summer. So I just planted these last year, but believe it or not, they have doubled in size. So we talk a lot in gardening, and you may have heard the term, when you plant a tree, shrub, or a perennial, the first year they sleep, they don't do much. The second year they creep, which they're in their creep year. And typically by the 3rd year in the ground and beyond, they leap. So I'm expecting great things out of these. Limelight Prime hydrangeas can handle moist conditions. They like water. They're not in bloom yet, but if I come in really close, they are forming up buds, and they'll have beautiful creamy white panicle flowers. The next row, which are sort of just doing not a lot of anything, is Monarda. So let me come in here and pull this back. You can see the Monarda right there. Funny thing about this Monarda is I picked up what was supposed to be bubble gum. They were all supposed to be the same really bright pink. And I ended up, they were mismarked. This one is the bright pink. This one is more of a purpley color. Yeah, so they were mismarked, but anyhow, they're not doing much. They really were flowering not too long ago, but lately they've just kind of sat there. So I'm not so sure about them. In the front row, I have carex. It's a type of ornamental grass. Well, when I looked these up at the nursery's website, they looked like they were going to be amazing. You know what they look like to me? Weeds. They look like grass weeds in there. I am not happy at all about their performance, but they are a perennial. So that means I am going to give them this summer to do their thing. I'm going to shear them back and try to give them a chance to form up a more compact habit. But yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. Do you ever get brand new plants and they don't turn out like you thought they would? Well, this is one of those. And the sad part is I bought 10 of them because I wanted them to be low growing grass to line the front of the border. Oh, well, you live and learn. But what I did go ahead and pop in, of course, are some more of my geraniums. I just love these. Look at the foliage. They are called Bullseye series for a great reason, right? Look at that dark, dark center on their leaf. So, so pretty. Okay, here's a new addition. This is another summerific hardy hibiscus, and it's loving the life in this spot. I wish I could recall what variety that is. Again, hibiscus bloom mid to late summer, so they take a while to get going. But if I come in here close with the camera, you should be able to see they are forming up some flower buds, and their flowers are enormous. They're dinner plate size. And here's another beautiful Miss Molly Buddleia. Look at that. I mean, just look at this one flower. Oh, we've got, oh gosh, what are those called? Mayflies, I think. And it's June, so you got your dates wrong, Mayfly. But anyhow, Miss Molly, always reliable, drought tolerant performers in the garden. All right, we're about to wrap things up. We're coming up here. We've got some Nepeta or catmint. And again, put this on my to-do list. I need to shear off all the old spent blooms and it will flush out again. So I got to get that on my list to do. And then here are 3 of my little lime punch hydrangeas. Talked about these a lot. These are incredible performers. They start their flowers lime green, chartreuse, creamy white, pale pink, and dark, dark pink in the fall. One flower changes color the entire season, and it is a winner in my book. I'm trying something new this year. I put some sweet potato vine, Ipomea, chartreuse, one plant between each of these 3 little lime punch hydrangeas as a ground cover, and it is working out nicely. Here is one of our new trees this year. Just planted this spiral boxwood, loving it. It added some vertical interest. Behind, my beloved coleus that I started from cuttings in the greenhouse. That will grow up, up, up. That coleus will get as big. Let me zoom in. Do you see that one in the pot? Each one of these coleus that I have planted actually all along the back of this border will get as big as that by the end of the summer. I also tried some lamium as ground cover, and it's doing okay. I thought it would be taking off a little bit better than it has. And then this is, oh, what is this? Not Thumbergia. Is that Thumbergia? Oh my gosh, no, that's not Thumbergia. I can't remember the name of this plant. It's new. I've never grown it, but I love, love, love the color. Okay, last but not least, let's look at this. And this is a north-facing bed, but you can see, of course, it's morning time. And so it gets sun in the morning and then it's shaded most of the rest of the day, except, of course, the further out you get from the wall of the house, the more sun-loving the plants can be. So again, in the back, I've got that coleus that I started from cutting. So you see it along there. And again, promise you it's going to get enormous and be a beautiful backdrop. Got some astilbe that's flowering. I've got some more coleus. This is wasabi and a little baby coleus that I nearly killed that I'm trying to keep alive. Up here we've got a beautiful dwarf Japanese maple right here in the center, surrounded by some hostas in the back, and brunnera. And talk about sleep, creep, leap. This brunnera is only in its second year, and if I put my hand here for scale, take a look at how ginormous these leaves are. It has really come along. It blooms in the spring, beautiful little periwinkle blue flowers. They're gone, but it will end up filling in all the way around under that Japanese maple. And of course, I had to add a little more pops of color with some annuals. Again, here we are. This is Supertunia Vista Jazzberry. Planted all three of these plants on the same day. They were all the same size when I put them in, but look at the center one compared to the one on the left. Go figure. But generally speaking, they get about 3 foot wide, sometimes 4 foot wide in the landscape. And my idea is I wanted a whole row where they actually touched. And of course, I popped in some more chartreuse in the garden, the little lemon coral sedum, for just a nice little pop of brightness. So yeah, it's coming along. Well, that's going to do it for today's June walkabout. I appreciate you all coming along with me. Stay tuned in the next few days for my walkabout part 2. And in that video, I'm going to take you along with me as we look at what's growing in my vegetable garden, my raised bed garden, my cut flower garden, as well as our 2-acre pollinator habitat. So until next time, I wish everybody a cool day and some happy gardening.